Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I wanted to talk to you about the narcissist and relationships for a moment. So let's jump in. So what I wanted to say about all this is, a lot of times first, there's something, I feel like there's a couple people watching out there that are healing. Maybe at least one person. I got one person that's actually doing something. No, I'm just kidding. I know y'all are. And I'm healing with you. So it's a thing we're doing together, because when I speak, it's like, it's therapy for me, really. And it means a lot to me. I don't really know you guys, but I know in spirit, some of you. And what I wanted to say is somebody is like, it's like they're dealing with a sickness. This is what I've been getting over my heart, like in the last few days, is maybe breast cancer or something. It could be really bad, but I swear to you that God would show me that somehow, some way, maybe because you're healing is the way I kind of got it. Maybe you were in something toxic yourself, like really burdened down with toxicity, and it could have been going on your whole life. And when you're unhealed, it does occur throughout your life until you are able to or decide to. It's really a decision, but a lot of times things have to occur in your life either to get bad enough, I can only speak for myself, but to get bad enough to put you in what they call the sunken place. It doesn't have to be financially, but generally it kind of all comes together. It's all bad. You may not be broke, but it's going to be a downturn in your finances, a downturn in your health, a downturn on how you feel, and you're going to probably have somebody who's going to trash you in a relationship. And at some point, I personally think the real true heroes in society come out of things like this, where they're inches from just being over. And it's like they divinely get this spark from God. And it's something that comes from within, to where everything we get from God, right? But it's in a way to where God puts it in your hands and you made the choice. And that's kind of what free will is. It's God is not going to do it for you. And when it's all, in its fruition, right? When you're at your peak, you think you peaked already and you ain't even close, whoever I'm speaking to. But you have like some kind of major health issue, maybe even terminal, and it's going to change completely. It's going to be completely healed up. I promise you. And it's all related to toxicity and toxic relationships and those burdens that you allowed to hold you down. And the wounds that you had. A lot of times you would walk in, maybe not, you're not a narcissist or something, maybe more of an avoidant. And that's even changing. And that doesn't change very much either. This is growing a drastic change in somebody, because you were acting like somewhat of an avoidant for most of your life. A lot of never being able to make a decision. It would just linger on and on and on. How did somebody put it one time? It's like you're in the middle of a lake and you're in a paddle boat. But because you can't make a decision, because you are so burnt, you get fried from toxicity will fry you, that rumination and all these things that people have instilled in you and you believed, and they were a lie. They were a lie. They could have even came from your children as they got older, because maybe your ex-husband or somebody told you, made you feel, and maybe verbally abused you, and you started to believe it. And as your children grew older, they started to become the same way. And they poured into you as well. And it wasn't good. It was toxicity. You believed it from your family, you believed it from your ex-husband, and then you believed it from your adult children now. And at some point in time here recently, you've made true change. You decided to go into surgically go in there and, fix it. Some things could be healed, but some things needed to be surgically removed. And then allowed some patience for you to rest as you got away from that toxicity from everybody. Like, you quit your family, you quit your children, you quit your ex, whoever you were with, I don't know. And you started to release a lot of tensions in your life. Autoimmunes come from these types of individuals. It's from all the tension, the stress, and all of the projection of the things that they are doing. As they project them onto you, they make you become them, and they steal your fuel, your energy. It doesn't matter if it's a son, a daughter, if it's an opposite sex, or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can't look at who you're dealing with. They're just taking energy, and they're going to walk in your aura, even if they're the opposite sex, or if they're somebody that's a sibling or a son or a daughter. They're just going to twist it, and it'll be your aura, but in their version of it. I'm telling you, I was getting, and I used to, when I was in the medical field early on, a lot of us would talk about fibromyalgia as a situation that, because it's really hard to diagnose. It's almost like somebody's opinion, because it's autoimmune. And we used to always, in my younger years, in this situation, we would kind of talk about it nonchalantly. Oh, they have fibromyalgia, and we just didn't believe the diagnoses. It's almost like they just probably came up with it out of thin air or something. And it kind of looks like that. But I started to deal with that. I didn't need to get any help. Your nerve roots, and I'm telling you, man, for a short time, I was dealing with that, but I was actually coming off of a toxic relationship. I was probably getting witchcraft thrown at me too, unbeknownst to me at the time, because you refuse somebody, now they're going to hit you hard with spelling. And that was probably the case. So it was. As I was pulling away from somebody that was very toxic, I was dealing with what symptomatically felt like an early type onset of fibromyalgia. But, as I got away from that toxicity and healed up myself, recovered from it very quickly. But a lot of autoimmune system issues, and there's more and more of them every day, are becoming well known, that there's a huge connection, a major connection between that and toxic relationships. And it's not just the toxicity from what they're spelling. Anytime people are lying to you, manipulating you every day, gaslighting you, all of these things, putting you down. What you're dealing with is a different consciousness. When you're dealing with a narcissist and you're human, you didn't shut down parts of your brain. Well, what you're really dealing with is, think about it. When there were the giants in the land, Genesis 6, they were hybrids. And what they housed in them was a spirit that was a hybrid spirit, which was a half fallen angel and a half human, a half seed of a human. And put them together, what they had was a hybrid, and they became very gigantic. And the disembodied spirits of those creatures, that's why God really flooded the earth out. But those disembodied spirits of those creatures became the demons that we know of today, or the jinn, or maybe whatever you want to call them. They could be some sort of, maybe when people are dealing with certain kinds of what they would call aliens, would probably be possibly this, and maybe you could see it manifest in a physical form, possibly. I don't know. But I do know demons are real, and I've experienced seeing them in the physical form, the spiritual in a physical form. And I've had a lot of manifestations of it through a couple of individuals in my past. So they're housing this type of dark energy, and it's out to destroy all things good and all things living, really. And you're dealing with a different consciousness. It's a consciousness. So you have the higher realm, heaven, but then there's a lower realm consciousness, the damned, you see. And we're not talking about the narcissist right now, but we're talking about the spirit in the narcissist that's controlling the narcissist 100% of the time. Whether it's unbeknownst to the narcissist or not is not my issue. I don't even want to talk about that avatar that you dealt with. What I'm saying is there's 3 types of consciousnesses. So you have the spiritual, heavenly consciousness. And, if for people that are thinking, because I'm saying consciousness is worldly or whatever, let it go for a minute. Your spiritual, there's the high vibing, like the angelic type consciousness, the higher thinking, right? The mind of Christ. Okay, let's go there. The mind of Christ thinking. And that's a higher thinking. But then you have the earthly, the 3D. And that's really where the narcissist is fixed. They're fixed on things, objects, and just getting ahead right here. Like they're going to live forever here. They never really think about perishing. Or how do you feel? You go to a psychologist or psychiatrist, and they always say this. I've never been to one, but they've always say this. How did that make you feel? And it's not funny. It's true. You should think about that when you're going through certain things. Well, how does that make you feel? When your relative talks to you like that, when your sibling talks to you like that, when your son or daughter, your ex-husband or your current husband or your current wife or your ex-wife, whoever, how does that make you feel? Do they build you up? Are they your greatest cheerleader? Or are they on hammer time where they're just busting you to pieces and they're hitting you with a mallet or something? Don't take those things as a failure. Just know you are the strongest person probably in your lineage, because you're breaking from that. If you're on my channel, you're searching out healing and you're actively doing it. I'm not talking about karmics that watch it to cross watch, to try to get information, or try to sabotage, or try to learn just to be more sinister or evil. It's ridiculous. They'll do these things. And again, they're under the control of the dark energy. But it's not just psychological. It's like a psychic control. They're dealing with the lower consciousness of the abyss. It's a level of like some sort of like psychic evil vibration. And that's also what you're dealing with, this negative vibration housing dark energy that's been damned. And you're sleeping with it, trying to love it, trying to live with it, and trying to balance out and regulate their emotions on a daily basis as you sacrifice your life, yourself, your spirit, your mind, your heart, your aura, your fruits, your gifts, your talents, whether it be known to you or not, or halfway known to you, partially, I don't know. But nevertheless, it's not good, and it's not natural. But you probably walked in it for so long, you probably do start to believe that. But something happened, and it might be you watching my channel. I don't know. But something like this occurred, and what I'm trying to say is all of whatever you're dealing with on a level of sickness is all related to this toxicity. And because you're choosing to walk away from these types of friendships, relationships, familial relationships, meaning family, it takes guts to do that. And Jesus spoke about this. I can't tell you what book. I want to say it was in Luke maybe, but he talked about, if you love me, then for a lot of you, he was saying, I'm paraphrasing, but this is what he was getting at. For a lot of you, you're going to have to leave your family for me. But a lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice their family. Not that you're going to have to, put them out or something, but it's to refuse them because you know it's going to hurt your relationship with the Lord, and it's going to hurt your relationship with what he is going to mold you into. See, he has a purpose for you. We're just jars of clay. You see, I just look at all people in the world as different colors of the sand and the dirt and the clay of the earth. That's how I've always seen it. Because just like Adam was made from the dust of the earth, you know, his name means red earth. Rudy red. That's what his name means if you define it in Hebrew. And a lot of people believe that he was somewhat of a red tone, maybe. It may be a feature that we don't even have in existence on this earth today anymore. You know, because that was when the bloodline was just full of its own self, you know. But as it, you know, tends to get cut and spliced, you know, you're talking about generation after generation after generation, and then moving about the world to subdue it and dealing with different territories and different climates and things over thousands of years. It can change little pieces of you. This is how I believe, you know, some of these things occurred, to make you more adaptable to live in maybe that region. But at the end of the day, we're really all just different flavors of the dust and the dirt and the clay that we walk on every day. Except God took that and miraculously threw it up in the air and blew into it. And Adam formed. The Adam. And here we are. But yeah, because when you start to heal, you start to reverse things in your life, and it brings a lot of times better decision making, clearer, healthier choices. You may start to get a new vibrant feeling in your walk, in your talk, in your strut. You have a different sense of security because you don't put it in this anymore. You don't care, you know, if you have somebody, that's great. If you don't, that's great too, man, because you're never alone, you know, and you realize that. And you also realize who's good and who ain't. You know what equal reciprocity means. You know what boundaries are, and you know how to work them. You know, a lot of times what you're going to find is you were stellar. I mean, the best of the best at meeting. And I gotta tell myself this too, because it's been coming to me. But you were just really good at meeting people on their level, spiritually, emotionally. You had the ability to pick them up. And for some of you to turn them into whatever good is inside them, or whatever they do try to represent as doing their self. It was only because you poured into them. That's the only reason they're standing today, and they're going to go down because they were doing it off of you. So because you cut ties with them, you're going to watch them also crash, and they're going to realize they'll never tell you because they're so pumped up on their pride and arrogance. Or if they do, you're just going to be like, whatever, because you're so sad. That's what you're going to be thinking. I'll take your apology. That's fine. I forgave you a long time ago, because I know that that's toxic and that's not what the Lord wants me to do. It's not healthy. I know it'll make me sick. I'm not going to hold myself back anymore. But you also know it's fake. So who cares whether I don't need your apology. I don't care. I don't need your fake mask to come up to me and play the clown, the Joker. I really wish I'd never see you again. You know what I mean? That's how you get. But that's how you are when you're healed. And you know, it's one thing if an individual also heals, but they don't do that, y'all. They don't waste your time on that. It ain't happening. My point is this: you are great at finding and meeting somebody where they were. spiritually, mentally, physically, everything. And really pouring into them. But you know what? It's about time that you sit back and you have somebody meet you on your level. And that's what you need. That's what I want you to understand. That's where you're at now. You've done enough of that. It's good. It's good for a time, and you did all that. But today, it's time to raise that standard up. When you put that work in, you can't keep going down. Meeting people down here, you know? Don't you want somebody to come to you on eye level? Or at least when you meet somebody, they're going to be eye to eye, right? On an even plane. Hey, I know you, you know? It's going to be like that. It's not like I got to look down here and, you know, pick you up while I'm all stressed out, getting burdened down, trying to bail you out all your financial issues and trying to dress you up because you look like crap, only for them to stab you in the back, take all your shit, man, and leave. You know? What I'm saying is, when you get to that point, it may not be today for all y'all, but I'm telling you, man, a lot of y'all are going to feel me on this. Don't do that anymore. It's a new day today. And as cloudy as it is out here, the sun is always shining. And it's shining today, y'all. We winning. We're winning. We're taking this thing back. We ain't quitting. We don't quit. That's one thing I know. People like us, we don't quit. We're going to champion this thing. It's time for you to meet somebody eye to eye on the same playing field you're on. And some of y'all got it. You just got to believe in yourself. But if I could pump faith into a few of you, the sickness is going to leave because you're making better choices. And the Lord's going to rapidly change your life. Your avoidance is going to turn into soundness of mind and clarity like you haven't seen. You know, you always had it too, and you always had good, clear judgment, and you could cut like a knife. But now, you're going to do it with precision. Precision, man. You're going to do it with precision. You're going to cut that thing, whatever's in front of you, and when you need to cut it, you're going to hit it with that scalpel, and it's going to hit that target right in the spot it needs to go, man. People ain't going to like you for that. But you're going to have the victory, and that's what they never wanted you to have. Sometimes being healed is not going to make people like you. But you're going to like you. You're going to like who you are. Because innately, you've always been a warrior. But you were fighting yourself. And when you were in that paddle boat, you were sitting in the middle of that lake. And instead of having some movement to you, you would sit in a chaotic state, and in your avoidance, you would do nothing. But what Spirit was telling me was, you're starting to pedal that thing. And real soon, you're going to hit the shore. And when you hit the shore, baby, when you stand up and you touch ground for the first time, you're going to realize who you were, always innately meant to be and to become. Now you're walking in it. You were never walking in it. You were floating on a boat, not paddling. You was drifting. But now you have purpose. And that truth cuts like a knife, y'all. So, even if it's cloudy out today, the sun's shining. It's still out there shining. You may not see it, but it's shining, y'all. It's shining. So have a great day. I love y'all. Till next time. Soldier, peace be out.